direction of the church, and based on a quite a very secular understanding, which is actually now our universe is not secular. It's a philosophical lens, and I'm saying there are other ways of doing history. I mentioned Ibn Khaldun, for example. There's a massive intellect in the Islamic tradition who had a much richer, multi-dimensional understanding of of epistemology. That's a better model, I would argue, than the secular one.
But to argue that the secular approach is toxic to those with a more spiritual or religious approach is exactly the same as saying that those with a more religious approach, those views are toxic to someone with a more secular view. So how do we resolve that?
But we don't have that kind of equality. We have the hegemony of the secular paradigm in academic studies in this field.
Yeah.
We don't have this problem that there's no we're going to have that doesn't exist.
Right.
If you, I
can only speak for myself.
No, I was talking to a friend who's doing masters at SOAS. I won't mention who's literally it was after on Friday, and he was doing a course on the Quran. And he was taught that the Quran story about the Noah and the flood are derived from earlier Mesopotamian myths.
Yeah.
Whoa! And I'm thinking, really? Now that's the genetic kind of fallacy because there's a similarity with an older mythological story, therefore it's just myth. Maybe there are multiple accounts, and behind those narratives lie a reality, an actual flood that happens in Mesopotamia.
But then there was narratives before the narrative as well.
But the a priori commitment to that being the explanation is the danger. But actually, if one is to investigate those possibilities and then just weigh them up or say, well, look, these are the options, let's have a look at them and try to be as objective as we can.
But the HCM doesn't allow that because it doesn't. It starts off by saying that prophets who predict the future are not datum of history. They are to be seen as late, they're mythological, they're legendary, they're not objectively real. I mean, I referenced Nikolai Sinai's book, but the HCM doesn't normally allow, because it doesn't allow God's intervention in history as a factor that historians can quantify and say,
but an
this
Islamic
happened.
approach wouldn't make space for the HCM approach. So they're both as close to each other as...
I think it does, a modified form of historical critical method. So I meant Ibn Khaldun, a multidisciplinary, he was able to look at societies historically in terms of their systems and their ups and their downs and so on, without any reference to revelation explicitly necessarily. But he was also aware that God is in control of history. And that we don't live in a secular world. So he was able to have different registers, different epistemologies. The HCM only has a secular register. So the datum of revelation is simply not taken into account. And Islamically, that is unacceptable because God exists and has given and has spoken to mankind through the gospel and the Torah and the Quran.
Can I ask an important question? So, you see all these, teachings and concepts in different religions.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned in
Zoroastrianism.
And it's also available in different religions. Like Judaism, Islam. It's the same exact concept. So my question, with some
variations on
with
themes.
some variations.
Yeah.
Okay. So my question, if we, for example, take the teachings you mentioned
Of Zarathustra.
yeah, it first came up in the these teachings by this person.
Yeah.
Who gave it? How did it come to you? Is it like through meditation? Is it
I believe
through God? Because you also
It came
mentioned
from something, we can agree on that.
we also mentioned monotheism, meaning that there is one God to worship. So did it come through God?
That there is one creator.
Creator. So did it came from that creator? And if it did came, did it also maybe in some part of history, prehistory to that point, was also some teachings to different civilizations predated that civilization?
I mean, we can speculate on whether those teachings reached other people. I find it sometimes more beneficial just to look at the evidence we have rather than speculating on what may have happened or to which we cannot attest with evidence.
We can do that. I still want to understand where did it come from. Because if it came from a person, no difference than me, why should I accept it or take it?
Well, I would be more interested in the value of the message necessarily than the person.
Forget about the words of a person. You just want to learn if it's
If there is a valuable
because
message
that's
that was
timeless. No human is timeless.
if there is a message of value that was revealed 3,500 years ago, let's say, and if that hadn't happened and the message arrived today, would it be of any less
these
value?
values are supposed to be like something good for us. If we follow it, it will work and it will bring peace and
I certainly
prosperity.
imagine that the parts of that message that are congruent with the ones that you see in your own belief system, you would agree are valuable.
I didn't even come to this part of
So I'm saying
history or
if
future.
if he spoke about the idea of personal responsibility for one's actions, personal judgment for one's righteous or evil deeds during the course of one's life, if that echoes something that you hear in your own teachings, then naturally you would think that's a theme of value, right?
That
That's
maybe
a
not
teaching of value.
started with these teachings or this
It may not have started there.
system of belief. It may be natural.
And you said
It may be
there's no
natural.
historical proof of it.
Yeah. Then it started with that.
No historical bits. So this is back to the secular
Maybe it's
methodology
natural.
again.
Natural.
It's
I'm saying
only
what-
what can be verified by secular historians that is true.
I can't comment on evidence I don't have.
So I like to believe or think, not believe or
Right.
think. That could be natural.
So these are your
In you.
presuppositions. now.
That's a good word.
Presupposition.
Think.
Yeah.
That's a good word.
So, what give me proof that this is not something natural in a human to act like this, to take responsibility in his action or their action, and it started with that book.
So
Person.
sorry, give you proof that say again. Just
What, how can we verify?
that it's not something natural for man to believe
And it
that he'll be
started with
judged
that, yeah.
for his personal actions.
And these values started with this.
Yeah, what was the definition of that idea? How do we know?
No, I don't make the claim that he's the first to have ever said
Or
it.
it's earlier than
However, it seems evident to me that it's the
Earlier we
earliest
made the
record
claim
of
that
this claim.
other religions
Yeah.
took from it, or like
Well, I would
shaped
have to
or-
build a case for that. So I kind of began to do that with the timing of certain new statements in the biblical corpus, which seem to coincide with the arrival of a new group of people and then the development of those ideas during that period. I mean, you can take it or leave it, but
No, but
it
that's
seems
the whole
like an
point of Speakerscorner,
interesting.
though. That's the whole point of
It seems
Speakerscorner.
like an
Take it or
interesting
leave it.
path of investigation, perhaps to try to build a coherent thread of events.
I think the problem is if one's looking at the genealogy, the origin of these ideas, just on the human level, because you will believe the existence of demons and Satan, for example. If Mesopotamians brought this, Zoroastrians brought this idea across through Judea, it doesn't mean it came from Judea. This is objectively real. These entities exist. They're bearing witness to the truth, or they are evidencing the truth.
I think all it
of
shows
these
is that
things.
one group of people believed it,
No.
and then another group
No.
of people came to believe it.
Yeah, but it says much
But
more than that.
But you're
Because
saying they exist. Just
no, but we know they exist anyway, so that they
how
are.
do you know they exist?
What you don't?
You believe they exist.
No. It's not a question of my belief. They do exist. It's not a question of my beliefs or my thinking, any more than I
So what are
believe.
we referring to
No,
specifically?
it's like saying I believe the sun exists. Well, it's much stronger than that. The sun does exist.
You're conflating
I
believing
can
the
actually
sun
point-
exists with believing angels and
Yes,
demons.
absolutely.
So explain how you would verify that the same way you would verify the sun exists.
Verify. Well, through experience would be one way. So humanity, well, the accounts of Legion, you can Google, humanity has always encountered angelic beings and demonic beings in all religions, Zoroastrianism, Buddhism, Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, Judaism. And so this is, and also human beings have always experienced the existence of the sun, I would
We are
suggest.
experiencing it now.
Yeah, but Yes, but
I'm not experiencing angels and demons.
No, I'm not saying you have to experience 24 hours a day like, on
I
tap.
haven't experienced them.
But human beings in general have experienced
maybe
the
they claim
day.
to have
Maybe you
experienced
haven't
them.
came to the
Well, yeah,
awareness.
but they claim to see the sun as
But
well.
we are seeing the sun right now. I
Yeah.
don't know how you conflate
But
those ideas.
there's lots of things I can't see that I know are real. I can't see subatomic particles. I can't see laws of
But we
physics.
can measure them.
I
We
can't
can
see,
calculate for
I
them.
can't see your consciousness, your mind. Can I
Yes,
see your?
but you
Was
started
there,
off-
was
you
there an
started off-
experiment
There are
to
lots of
measure,
things.
to measure the existence of like all the prisons of demons? I think
Well,
some
yeah, here's how we know. I'm saying that empirically, through our experience, human beings have known the existence of these phenomena always, in virtually all religious traditions. Secularism denies their existence because it's a post-Enlightenment Western European white male
I don't
construct.
reject their existence, but you say you know they
No,
exist.
no, I'm saying the
establish-
secularism. You may
know
not.
from
The secularism does reject them a priori.
I'm not here to
factors.
defend secularism per
So
se.
take an example. If you look at the Gospels, Jesus portrayed as someone who exorcised demons from people. It's all over the Gospels, and he was a miracle worker.
I'm just,
Now,
I'm
a
just
secular
just
historiography
wondering
would
on this
dismiss all
topic.
that as myth.
But do you
On this
object to the
topic.
idea of comparing
On this topic,
angels and demons with whether the reality of
You
angels
asked how
and
we
demons with the
knew
reality
things.
of the sun?
You asked how we knew things. I'm saying through experience,
it's
and
different.
we have
It's
different
somehow
kinds of
different.
experience.
It's somehow different because
Experience
it's not
is different
visible
kinds
to
of
the
experience,
eye.
but it's still experience based. Yeah, I can't access your
not
mind.
visible.
I have no knowledge that your mind is
I'd be
real, and I
fascinated
can't
to know
prove that.
about your personal experiences of these,
Yeah.
these phenomena.
Well, we can have a private conversation. I can talk to you about these things, but it is very widely attested in the literature. For example, in the book, William James's book, The Varieties of Religious Experience, a seminal work, early 20th century. He's a pioneer
So can I
of
ask
psychology. Hang on a
Sorry,
second.
1 second.
Can I ask you, as I'm trying to explain? And he's a psychologist, and he narrates a lot of these things, some numerous accounts across a wide variety of different backgrounds of people. So it is a very frequently attested experience. I'm saying Western secular methodology tends to exclude that as a valid source of knowledge about the real world out there. And when it comes to, say, religious works like the Gospels, where Jesus portrayed as exercising people, it will typically not see these as actually real objective experiences, actual accounts of what Jesus did. And I'm saying that is to betray the reality of what it could well have been real. It could have been made up stories, but in principle they could have happened, actually.
but
The
this is
secularism will
different to-
always
we know-
Everyone
know.
can agree on that it could have happened.
Yeah.
Everyone can agree. That's one thing everyone.
The secularism will reject it as
It would
historical.
reject it, but
Thank you, that's my point.
But
It will
you're
reject it.
But that's far
how
away.
to
But
verify?
hold on, they could be real. Is a mile away from we know they're real. That's a different statement.
An openness to reality is not something I've noticed in secular writers on this subject. And the example of demons is always now in our materialist West explained away as a function of mental illness or disturbance or hallucination. And that again is a
Given
material.
rise to whole
That is a
schools of
materialist
psychological-
prejudice, a secular prejudice against a phenomena that is widely evidenced and known in mankind. And this is doing a disservice to the truth, because demons, as angels say, do exist. So
Okay,
this is
let
the
me
problem.
ask
We'll agree to
You
disagree.
don't,
Okay,
you don't
we can
believe
reach
in,
disagree,
in
that's fine.
magic and witchcraft.
Thumbs up from the background.
You don't believe. So there is no such.
I don't
act-
believe in them.
Such an act to like do magic
I don't believe in them.
and
I
interact
don't
with
think we
these.
have to define what a demon
Yeah,
is.
yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, no, come on. When they say demon, yeah, we're all like disagreeing with each other, but we all kind of we all agree.
Who's you lot?
No, but that's what I'm
He's not a
saying.
Muslim. He's got a beard, you're a Muslim.
You know what I mean?
No apology needed. It's easily done. Don't worry.
Exactly.
Don't the Muslims believe in jinns?
Yes.
Yes? And what are jinns to you?
Do you believe in it?
Do I believe jinns?
Demons, devils.
Are they
You get good and bad jinn, can't you?
jinns?
You get
So
good
you and him are in
communities.
agreement with that then? You and the brother here is on
Yeah, I agree they exist.
Yeah, the unseen realm actually exists, and it actually interacts with this world and changes things. People have encounters with demons and angels. They make a difference, and there's masses of evidence that this happens in the world. The evidence is there. We don't want to see it in the West because it goes against our materialist prejudices about the nature of reality. I'm saying reality is different from the Western paradigm and includes all of these areas of life which do make a difference in the real world. Those of us who believe in God and believe in the unseen have experienced this stuff. Billions of people have.
I mean, just from a personal perspective, I don't rule out the idea of a spiritual realm or higher dimension, whatever you want to call it. I don't necessarily just ascribe to a given description of what that is. I don't think we can just define it or defer to some revelation.
No, I'm saying we shouldn't. What the Western paradigm does, it explains it away as psychiatric illness and so on. I'm saying that is erroneous and based on a false understanding of reality. It's not that the West doesn't recognize it. It does try to debunk it. It falsifies it. That's my problem. It's much more hostile than just saying, "Oh, we don't know." It actually goes out and says to people, "If you testify to these things, you will be referred to a doctor." That's my problem.
Can I ask you a simple question, right? Where does dreams come from? Are you listening? Listen to the question, big man. Where do dreams come from?
Where do what come from?
Dreams.
Where do dreams come from?
I'm not sure. I suspect they're like a
Projection.
function of the brain.
I think this is still about the dreams. It's like just reality.
It may be a portal to some sort of like a spiritual dimension.
You know, the best way to look at all of these things is, you know, like
What things?
realm,
What?
like,
Okay.
the unseen, al-Muslim as well, is that before, like, for example, the simple ways to go about it is this. Now, why do we believe in the unseen as Muslims? Fundamentally, it's because we believe in the prophethood of the Prophet. peace be upon him. Now, if the Prophet peace be upon him tells us that there's something called the jinn, or there's something called heaven and hell, then we believe in him because we believe in the evidence for his prophethood. Once we establish evidence for his prophethood, whatever he says is the truth.
I didn't even realize you were here.
Let me just finish, yeah?
He's not a Muslim, by the way.
I'm not Muslim.
He's not a Muslim.
Yeah,
No,
He's
just
just
explaining.
accept the premise of your
Yeah,
point.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, but the best way to, like, instead of saying, oh, do jinns exist or not, the best thing is, the one who tells you about jinns, who's the prophet, ask the question, is he a real prophet? Because if you argue that he's a real prophet, and the deduction follows that he is, with all the evidence that he comes with, then whatever he says after that is all true. Because
How do you determine if he's a true prophet?
That's a good question.
That's a much bigger question, but I'd rather defer to this gentleman's
Yeah.
approach, which is to defer to personal
Experience. Yeah, it's an empiricist approach. I'm not denying revelation. I'm just saying that there's also a wider appeal here to experience.
accessible for me.
Yes, I agree.
I love the Bible. That's what
Can I ask you?
Oh, it's a
I
Christian.
want to ask the brother two questions because he's saying about the prophet. I want to get his understanding of life because I want to number one ask him his age, and then I'm going to ask him the same thing. You feel emotions, you have dreams, and where do they come
No,
from?
listen. You got love for it, yeah. So obviously you got a love for the Quran and Prophet Muhammad.
I got a love for the Bible and the prophets of the Bible. Go
okay.
on.
The true meaning behind it is it's not proof. You just have admiration for it. Am I wrong?
No, but why do... I obviously have admiration for the Quran. I don't
No,
believe
but you're
in-
saying there's proof of the Bible because of admiration.
No, because it's been fulfilled. There's prophecies that's been
Yeah, but you're admiring it now.
Yeah, I'm admiring it now because there's prophecies that haven't been fulfilled that are being fulfilled now.
It's not about admiration.
You understand?
It's about believing logically it is the truth.
Does it not come down to how do you tell someone my book is better than your book? Please tell me. How do you tell them?
I'm not telling you.
Ezekiel 36
No,
verses
yeah,
1
well,
to
it was
8.
truth
That's
that opposed
Palestine
Let's
right
go to
now.
that. Let's go to that.
Yeah.
The Quran says,
That's a prophet that was written thousands of years ago.
that bring your evidence if you're truthful.
Okay.
Yeah? So evidence is based on evidence. Now the Quran says, that if you don't think that this book has been revealed from God, then release a chapter like it. Yeah? So there's evidence that are external to the Prophet and the Quran that proves the Prophet. For example, one of them is the historicity of the Quran. And the Quran contains historically accurate information that was impossible to know at the time of the Prophet.
That's what I made the claim to you earlier, but you said to me.
Number two,
you want
the
to-
prophecies of the Prophet.
This is the claim.
Prophecies.
I'm not here to.
Yeah. I'll hear your claim. You know what I mean? And I respect it. I'll tell you the same claim. There you go. Like you can say that. That's fine.
you to
But
challenge
I'm
that.
telling. I'm not. No, you got
Covered in these things.
He's telling me
But
what
for
he
insects,
thinks is true.
I think that's it. Thank you. Am I free of insects?
You're saying. I'll give you my subjective belief. But I don't classify myself as.
does that mean that you believe that he should be followed? Also, as a one
Do you believe you should follow it?
Yes, yes, that's the one. They follow who, you know what I mean, giving you. I don't know how to explain.